Hey guys, today I want to talk about why players are so bad at Classic. And the reason I'm making this video is I originally wanted to make a guide for how to play Rogue in PvP and all the different matchups of classes and what you should be doing in each of those matchups. But I was running into some trouble because even though I had a lot of footage from various different battlegrounds and various different duels, I didn't really have good examples playing against competent opponents. And what do I mean? So I'll give you some examples. Number one, mage, right? I have about 40 duels recorded against a mage and different mages. And only in about 3 of those 40 duels did the mages ever even press the polymorph button. And if you know anything about the rogue mage matchup, or you've watched any of the duel tournaments or the duel leagues, you'll know how important it is in the rogue mage matchup that the mage try and get a polymorph off. And so that's one example where like the vast majority of players that I run into and fight just don't have an understanding of the matchup or what they're supposed to be doing. And another example, hunters. I have an insane win rate against hunters in duels. I probably somewhere around 95%. Now, am I doing some secret technique against these hunters? Am I doing anything special? Absolutely not. It's just that the majority of hunters have no clue what they're doing and don't know how to feint death, scatter shot, feint death, ice trap. They don't know how to apparently press PvP trinket. And so I can't really comment on the hunter matchup because regardless of how many times I've dueled hunters, I've probably played one good hunter that actually insta trinketed, scatter shot, ice trap, and actually knew what they were doing. And that's crazy to me, right? That's crazy. And it's just, you might be saying, oh, well, you just need to duel more. So I'll do my disclaimer first, and then I'll go into that first reason why I think people do not they're bad at Classic. So first, I want to make a disclaimer that the point of this video is not to say that I'm some amazing player and that everyone else is bad at the game. You just saw I died to that mage earlier. I could have blinded him. I would have lived. Right? I made a mistake. So I'm not. One of the reasons I'm actually making the video is I find it's pretty difficult to improve in Classic because players are so bad. And as you know, in many aspects of life, you need to play against better players to improve. And so that's one of the reasons I'm making this video is I'd really like to be able to improve more. And I feel like I've kind of stagnated in a lot of the matchups just because most of the people I'm playing are pretty bad. And so that's the disclaimer out of the way. Now I'm to the first reason why I think people are really bad in Classic. And I don't think they're dueling enough. And I have a theory as to why I don't think people are dueling enough. I think it's because they're so focused on improving their character, they don't even think about improving their play. So you'll notice people will spend countless hours farming, grinding, reputation, gold, you name it, anything to give the slightest edge for their character. Yet they don't take time to look at how they're playing the character, which is very weird to me. And so I think that's one reason why people aren't dueling that much. I don't know about you guys, but I haven't had that many duels outside of Orgrimmar. I thought there was going to be a lot more dueling once Battlegrounds came out because people are waiting in queue. But not a lot of dueling going on, even on a high pop server. And even when I do get duels, like I've mentioned, the majority of players aren't very good. And so that's my number one reason why I think people are really bad at Classic. They're just not dueling enough. And dueling is the best way to understand a specific matchup. You understand all the abilities that the other class is using. You start to feel out, okay, the cooldowns for their rotational skills. You start understanding, okay, to beat a mage, I need to make sure that, I have cooldowns ready to remove their roots so that whenever they ice nova me, I can sprint and remove the root. And the next time they freeze me, I can vanish and remove it. Those are the kind of things that you're learning while doing the duels. And those are things that a lot of people just miss because they're not dueling. So that's my number one reason. The number two reason I think a lot of people are not very good at, in this case, we're talking mostly about PvP, but I'll see if I can connect the dots to PvE a little later as well. But one of the reasons why a lot of people aren't very good at PvP is there's really no reason to be good at PvP. Uh, and it sounds really weird, but if you think about it, you can hit the highest rank in Classic. You can become a high warlord or a grand marshal and not be good at PvP. The only being good helps because you'll probably get honor faster, but you really actually don't need to be good at PvP to rank up in Classic, which is super weird. What other game can you think of could you achieve the highest rating in highest PvP rating without actually being good at the game? So that's one reason, and I guess along the same lines, there's no content in the game that rewards PvP skill. So there's no rated battlegrounds, there's no arenas, there's no duel ladder, and so there's really nothing pushing players to be improving. And I think this is something that would really help, the level of play just increase. And so those are my big reasons why I think people are, bad at Classic. And I'll make one final mention about PvE. So I've been talking mainly about PvP. In PvE, we have a similar problem where I believe people just aren't pushed or challenged, or they don't have to be good at PvP. PvE to even clear the content. So for example, right now, Molten Core is incredibly easy. All of the Classic dungeons are incredibly easy. There's really at no point is there any dungeon where you're pushed, or raid content, you're pushed to actually know what you're doing. And maybe this will change when some of the harder raid content will come out. But I think this is definitely one of the reasons why a lot of people in PvE are pretty bad. Is there's no necessity. There's nothing that is forcing people to improve. There's no brick wall that they hit that makes them say, wow, I need to really work on my play because I am not able to complete this because I'm not good enough, right? There's nothing like that in Classic for PvE. But anyway, this is just my thoughts on why people are bad in Classic. I think it's kind of a weird situation, but I'm curious to know what you guys think. Would you agree that a lot of players that you run into are bad, and that the overall player base is just pretty bad? Curious to know your thoughts, and I'll see you guys in the next video.